I had a great background as it relates to my ability to deal with numbers, and it was going to pay well. So I was like, I'll be an accountant. Unfortunately, around my junior year, I was the victim of a hate crime or two. And so were a group of my friends, all at the same time. Cars were keyed with the N-word. We received hate mail in our on-campus mailboxes. And at that time, my school hired the Cochran firm. And there was a lawyer who graduated from University of Houston who was assigned to me. And it was the first time in my life that I felt helpless. And I was like, I want to help people that are going through what I've just experienced. And at that point in time, I decided that I was going to sit for the LSAT. I did Little Shop of Horrors. So when I was in college at Rhodes in Memphis, I ended up doing Little Shop of Horrors.
What part did you play in that?
I was one of the women that was singing.
Okay.
Yes, I was in the chorus.
Okay.
And so I ended up doing it, and the mock trial coach recruited me to do mock trial. And I was like, no. By this time, I decided I was going to be an accountant. Didn't want to do anesthesia no more. Still didn't want to talk to people. So then he goes, no, you should do mock trial. And I said, that's for the kids going to law school. Long story short, he recruits me. I do mock trial just my senior year. I become a national All-American. He says, you should go to law school. So I applied, got a full ride, and said, fine, if I don't like it, I'll quit.
Oh, how noble and sacrificial of her. Which is the real Jasmine Crockett, though? Well, the call for public service came and Jasmine answered. But back to that Atlantic profile, they saw something else in Crockett, a raging narcissism. And for a woman who claims to be so tough, she has exceedingly thin skin. They described her as highly conscious of her self-presentation. Crockett wore acrylic nails painted with the word resist and a set of heavy lashes over her brown eyes. The lock screen on her phone is a headshot of herself. And Crockett apparently thinks she should be able to control to whom a journalist speaks when they're actually reporting a profile. 4 days before this story was published, Crockett called me to express frustration that I'd reached out to so many House members without telling her first. She told me, shutting down the profile and revoking all permissions. Yeah. And yet another gem that speaks to Crockett's highly racialized view of the world from the same profile. Crockett said that Hispanic Trump supporters had almost like a slave mentality. I asked Crockett whether she had ever regrets about her public comments. She raised her eyebrows and replied, I don't second guess. You know how that ends. Well, bless her heart.
Boy. So we got to talk about some trouble in Wonderland. The Democrat Party is engaged in full-blown infighting that is now taking place on the congressional floor. Because if you guys haven't seen it, Cory Booker, the Democrat senator from New Jersey, has embarrassed himself once again by boohoo, whining, and crying on the congressional floor over, this time, Democrats not fighting Trump hard enough, okay, and fighting him, right? I mean, this is what took place on the congressional floor that was completely and totally embarrassing for Democrats.
The Democratic Party needs a wake-up call. I see law firms bending a knee to this president, not caring about the larger principles, that those free speech rights, that you could take on any client. Why are you bending the knee? I see universities that should be bastions of free speech bending at the knee to this president. I see businesses taking late-night talk show hosts off the air because they dare to insult a president. I see people who want mergers suddenly think that they have to pay tribute to this president. And what are the very people here elected to defend the Constitution of the United States saying, oh, well, today, let's look the other way and pass some resources that won't go to Connecticut, that won't go to Illinois, that won't go to New York, that will go to the states he likes. That is complicity with an authoritarian leader who is trashing our Constitution. It's time for Democrats to have a backbone. It's time for us to fight. It's time for us to draw lines. And when it comes to the safety of my state being denied these grants, that's why I'm standing here. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers, I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right. And dear God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me, because there's too much on the line right now in America. As people's due process rights and freedom of the speech rights and secret police are running around this country, picking people up off the streets who have a legal right to be here. There's too much going on in this country. When are we going to stand together for principles that I just heard that we're agreed with? When are we going to stand together? If we don't stand as Democrats, we deserve to lose. But if we stand united, if we stand strong, if we stand with other people, if we tell with a chorus of conviction in America what this president is doing is wrong, if we stand up and speak that way, dear God, we will win. Like all of those people that are ancestors who joined hands together and said, we shall overcome. No, not on my watch. I'm protecting Jersey today. I'm protecting our Constitution today. The Democratic Party needs a wake-up call. I see law firms bending a knee to this president, not caring about the larger principles, that those free speech rights, that you could take on any client. Why are you bending the knee? I see universities.
Yeah, that is the current state of the Democrat Party. Completely and totally pathetic, right? This is why they're losing, okay? Stuff like that is why they're losing. So with that being said, we got to talk about more infighting here. Okay, because apparently Democrats on Capitol Hill are expressing their frustration with Jasmine Crockett, and she did not want The Atlantic to write about this, right? She didn't want The Atlantic to write a profile on her and to ask her colleagues about her working with her as a member of Congress. And she tried to shut down this profile after finding out that her colleagues would be chiming in when it comes to their opinions on her. So without further ado, let's get into this.
Crockett at the center of a political twister. Again, the Congresswoman from Texas has made waves by mocking Republicans and also fighting with people inside of her own party. So you see the screen, dim darling or dim danger. A new profile on Jasmine Crockett paints her as a brash, self-promoting and image-obsessed, right down to her lock screen photo of her own face. After finding out the reporter had interviewed her colleagues, she tried to pull the plug on the story. Some Democrats are comparing Crockett's combative style to arson. Ooh, here's what that sounds like.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess, honey.
You could tell Donald Trump anything tonight.
I would tell him to grow a spine and stop being Putin's. It's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard.
Okay, that's really where the issue is, though. I mean, the whole violent there's no place in politics for that. Mark Meredith is on Capitol Hill. Mark.
Harris, good morning to you. Well, Congresswoman Crockett, she's still relatively new to Washington, but as you showed, she's made quite the splash, becoming one of the most outspoken members on the left and looks like a rising star within the Democratic Party. But Crockett's rocket to stardom also comes at a cost. This week, The Atlantic publishing a lengthy profile of the 44-year-old. There was a lot of focus on her desire to make controversial comments. The Atlantic writing, Crockett is testing out the coarser insult comedy style attacks that the GOP has embraced under Trump, the general idea being that the Republicans go low, the Democrats should meet them there. But the article points out Crockett is still trying to shape her image and reportedly even tried to shut down this piece after the reporter involved reached out to multiple House members for their take on her.
Seems Crockett apparently doesn't quite understand how journalism works, because in the profile, there's this following passage. I'm quoting from it. Crockett said that people are free to disagree with her communication style, but that she was elected to speak up for the people that I represent. As for her colleagues, 4 days before this story was published, Crockett called me to express frustration that I had reached out to so many House members without telling her first. She told me, shutting down the profile and revoking all permissions. That's funny because you can't do that. Sorry, this is like one of the most basic rules of dealing with journalists. Sorry. once you've spoken to them on the record, you don't own the story anymore. They do. You can't stop them from covering you because you don't like that they reached out to other people. You have to decline to talk to them in the first place or set the terms in advance. As NBC's Sahil Kapoor put it, not that this is not how any of this works, but don't, of course, try to tell Jasmine Crockett any of that. She is bursting with self-confidence, according to this profile. In fact, she seems pretty unhappy. She was passed over for a top leadership position, chair of the House Oversight Committee. The profile recounts her personal feelings of betrayal. Their own caucus, the Congressional Black Caucus, backed a different person. You see, Crockett believes she's the most qualified person for the job because, and I quote, "There's one clear person in the race that has the largest social media following." Generating attention, positive and also negative, is something she's quite good at, obviously. Is it really the case, however, that being provocative, spicy, contrarian, unfiltered, attention-seeking, and let's be honest, fairly bombastic and occasionally offensive, is that the best set of attributes for Democratic leadership? Who knows? Maybe it is. Certainly the Democratic base wants leaders to fight the Republicans, if only in virtue-signaling sort of ways that have nothing to do with actual power and policy. At least Crockett was willing to do this.
If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's a part
I'm
of the.
trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to strike those
I had no idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You
Democrats-
just voted to do
Y'all did it
it.
first, so you
You
don't want to
just
talk about
voted to do
Say
it.
you're gonna get
Order,
Marjorie
order.
on
I'm
the
trying to
lead.
get clarification.
Look at calm down. Calm down.
No, because this
I
is
will
what
let us
y'all
get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to
Miss
get
Crockett,
clarification.
you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Miss
games?
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your yelling.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Okay, now, again, apparently Democrats are getting tired of this act from Jasmine Ratchet, and that's why she didn't want this profile from The Atlantic to come out. Because like I told you guys, when she first announced that she lost the leadership race for House Oversight, I told you guys it was obvious why Democrats didn't want her to be leader is because she alienates moderate voters, which is basically what this Atlantic article outlines about her and some of the issues, the infighting that is going on within the Democrat Party. A lot of her colleagues not liking her at all. Let's read this. She was losing her race to serve as the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee. She told me a job she felt well suited for. Members of the Congressional Black Caucus were planning to vote for the most senior person in the race, even though that person wasn't actually a Black Caucus member, Crockett complained. So basically the Black Caucus, right, instead of voting for the black person, they're like, nah, we're going to vote for the most senior person, right? We're not going to vote for the black person. And that pissed off Jasmine Crockett because she was supposed to have the pro-blackity black support. Even the pro-blackity blacks were like, nah, we can't really get behind you like that, right? We're not rocking with you like that. California members were siding with the California candidate. One member was supporting someone else in the race, she said, even though, quote, that person did the worst in their pitch to the caucus. Crockett was starting to feel a little used. Some of her colleagues were, quote, reaching out and asking for donations, she said, but those same colleagues, quote, won't even send me a text back about the oversight job. Wow. Yeah, so she's being stabbed in the back, right? She's been stabbed in the back, okay? The Democrat Party is a party full of snakes and backstabbers. To Crockett, the race had become a small-scale version of the Democratic Party's bigger predicament. Her colleagues still haven't learned what, to her, is obvious. Democrats need sharper, fiercer communications. It's like there's one clear person in the race that has the highest social media following. Crockett told me, yeah, so apparently she believes that her social media following is a qualification for leadership, right? Oh, well, I have the most followers on social media, so therefore I must be a leader, right? And that argument, I guess, isn't sitting too well with her colleagues, right? Let's read more here. Perhaps inadvertently, Crockett seemed to be acknowledging something I heard from others in my reporting, that the forthrightness her supporters love might undermine her relationships within the party. Some of Crockett's fellow Democrats worry that her rhetoric could alienate the more moderate voters the party needs to win back. In the same week that Democratic leadership had instructed members to focus on Medicaid cuts and tax breaks for billionaires, Crockett referred to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who used a wheelchair as, quote, Governor Hot Wheels. Crockett claimed that she was referring to Abbott's busing of migrants in an interview with Vanity Fair after the 2024 election. Crockett said that Hispanic Trump supporters, quote, almost had a slave mentality. She later told a CNN host that she was tired of, quote, white tears and the mediocre white boys who are upset by DEI. Yeah. So that is exactly what I told you guys about why Crockett lost the leadership election. This is what I told you guys. I told you guys that she lost because Democrats think that she's way too divisive, right? I mean, when you talk about the race-based rhetoric that this woman consistently engages in, Democrats are not going to win. They're not going to win national elections when you have women like this as your leader, when your message is stuff like this.
They try to act like, oh, political violence, it's the Democrats and it's the liberals. And it's like, actually, I mean, I'm not going to say that like a left-leaning person cannot be violent, because that would be like crazy to say that somebody can't be. But baby, y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay? Like all of them. You got the Proud Boys. You got the neo-Nazis. You have people that literally should be classified as domestic terrorists, because a lot of times that is what they are doing. They are engaging in domestic terrorism. And guess what? They all align with your side.
Yeah.
Including the KKK. So like, I mean, this is who aligns with that. So like inherently in like who you are, y'all are violent. Like y'all, and most of your violence has to do with people that's got a little bit of melanin. But nevertheless, like y'all are a violent group of, like you attract violent actors. And like, I'm sorry, I know they try to make Black Lives Matter out to be the most violent. What about Black Lives Matter? No. So that's the thing. Like they try to pretend like that.
Yeah. So again, apparently Democrats are not interested, right, in that style of politics. Okay, 13 of her colleagues on the Oversight and Judiciary Committees, along with 20 other Democratic members I contacted for this story, either declined to talk with me on the record or didn't respond to my interview request. Senior staffers for 3 Democratic members told me that some of Crockett's colleagues see her as undisciplined but are reluctant to criticize her publicly. Quote, she likes to talk, one of the staffers said. Is she a loose cannon? Sometimes. Does that cause headaches for other members? 100%. Yeah. So ultimately, at the end of the day, Democrats have an issue with Jasmine Crockett behind the closed doors, right? Behind closed doors, they have an issue with her. Now, Jasmine Crockett apparently has issues with AOC and Bernie in the most ironic way possible. So let's read this. Representative Jasmine Crockett recently criticized far-left Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Bernie Sanders' quote, fighting oligarchy tour for being self-promotional rather than about the team. Wow, the irony of Jasmine Ratchet criticizing somebody else's rally or somebody else's, I don't know, promotion as self-promotional rather than being about the team, because she certainly is not a team player, right? Which is what Democrats told her doing her bid for leadership. Crockett lambasted the nationwide rallies headlined by the lefty pair during a May meeting with Representative Maxine Dexter as the Texas Democrat campaign for the top Democratic spot on the House Oversight Committee, according to the Atlantic magazine. During the meeting, Dexter probed Crockett about her relationship with Democratic leadership, noting that Ocasio-Cortez bumped heads with former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi when she burst into the scene in 2019. Downplaying Dexter's concerns, Crockett claimed that she wanted to be viewed as working on behalf of the Democrat Party and was not looking to, quote, burn it down. Crockett, 44, went on to describe the Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez rallies as a, quote, good idea, but a tour that primarily served the interests of the two lawmakers and not the Democrat Party. the rallies, quote, kind of makes people be like, oh, it's about them, right? Instead of the team, Crockett said. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, here's the thing. This is definitely a case of the pot calling the kettle black, right? Because I think that Jasmine Crockett is probably one of the most self-promotional politicians out there, if not the most self-promotional one, considering the fact that she basically touts her social media following as some type of qualification for leadership, right? Which is kind of ridiculous. It shows you just how narcissistic she is, right? And that is basically what this profile outlined, right, about Jasmine Crockett. So with that being said, I'm hoping that Jasmine Crockett decides to continue to run for leadership, okay, to promote herself, okay, as the leader of the Democrat Party, as a potential leader of the party, because that is good for Republicans. In fact, I'm hoping that she gets spooked out of running for re-election in the House seat because of the redistricting that Republicans apparently are going to do in Texas. I hope she gets spooked out and decides to run for Senate, right? Because if she decides to run for Senate, then it's basically guaranteed that a Republican is going to win, right? So I'm hoping that Jasmine Crockett feels empowered, right? I feel that she should be emboldened, right, by the fact that Democrats are rejecting her for leadership, to stick it to them, right? And the best way to stick it to Democrats would be to run for that Senate seat, right? To run for that Senate seat in Texas, try to become a senator, and that will make it a lot easier for the Republican candidate, whoever that may be, okay, to win, right? That is basically what I'm hoping that Jasmine Crockett ends up doing, right? Democrats are scared, afraid of her being in leadership because of the fact that they know that she helps out Republicans with her style, right? The way that she talks, the way that she communicates. She's certainly helping out Republicans, and she's all about herself, right? And her own self-aggrandizement. And as long as that's the case, then again, she is a great asset for the Republicans. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.